States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Welcome. We'll just get busy. First thing up on the agenda, I want to read our leadership statement. The City of Hampton endeavors at all times to promote and model the principles of professionalism, trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. In conducting this evening's meeting, I expect that all participants will act in a respectful manner consistent with these principles. Thank you. Next item is public comment. Does anybody have any public comment this morning, or this evening, sorry? Not hearing any. Okay, moving on. Next, we have a nuisance update. Chief Morrison and Mr. Tarr.
Yeah, since we last met, we wrote 5 new municipal citations. We have 14 court cases pending in court, and those don't count 657As. We had court last week on 3 cases, which resulted in 1 court order. And then we also had 3 vehicles towed out via court order. And that's what I've got for the tonight.
Any questions? Not hearing any. Thank you, sir. Mr. Tarr.
I don't have much to add other than I think 3 or 4 of mine got continued till October 30th for court, so that's coming up. And then 422 First Street Southwest, a notice has been served to that property for nuisance and cleanup, and then possible entry to check the living conditions and stuff to make sure that's actually habitable. Other than that, I really don't have much of anything else. There's quite a few 657As in the pipeline, and it's kind of where we're at right now.
All right. Mr. Palmer?
What was the house that you had to see if it was inhabitable? Or
422 First Street Southwest.
is that a rental?
Nope. It's owner occupied, but it's been being roofed for the last year or so. And the materials and tools and everything are still up on the roof.
I mean, do we have that justification?
I think so.
Justification,
Given the appearance on the outside, I think we will be able, if we're not allowed by the owner to make entry, then I'll probably do a administrative warrant to get in. Just with the condition of it, I'm not sold that it's being very well taken care of.
Okay. Also, another question. Sometime before the end of the year, because I'm nosy, could we have another tour of Rick's, or the old pharmacy building over there, 4 and 6? Kind of want to just see what's been done and what's left to go. I don't want to interrupt anybody's work over there, but just to walk in. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Lemos?
Yeah, I had the mayor or the police chief walked off too soon. The cars that are towed, Dumont tow them?
Yes, Dumont tows them, and then they don't charge us a fee, but after we get the junking title, they just take the car in lieu of the fee.
All right,
So.
thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen. Next up, we have Jason Lubin with Getting Signs. I'll just let you step up there and Mr. Spiel, I know there's some issues with some of the entrance signs for us, so.
Yeah, so I'm sure everybody has noticed that especially the sign at the fairgrounds and the sign on the south side of the Tower Center, the extra steps that I tried to take to extend the life failed. And so I drive up by them every day. I see what's going on there. even at the time, there was an option given as to whether to, when we first started doing the printed style signage, we tried to make known that that's a temporary setup, that the printing only lasts about 5 years before it would start to fade out. And so at about the 7-year mark, that's when I refurbished, and I tried to do a couple things to try to extend that. And it did not hold up the way I was hoping. We are on the 5-year mark of the first set of refurbished signs. The most recent one that was addressed was the north sign, and as far as I can see, that one seems to be holding up fine, but that one is just the way things go with UV damage. Anything facing south or west usually takes the brunt of UV stuff. So I do have a printout of a couple of ideas for trying to essentially offer a way to address. I think it's just become abundantly clear that trying to go the printed route with doing graphics is just not feasible for trying to get the life that we'd like to get out of them. As far as now, there's been a couple different times that people have talked about trying to do something completely different. Ideas have been brought up about some sort of carved stone, something more like a monument style. One of the challenges that we have as those ideas are brought up is location. We're kind of limited on space when it comes to the sign at the fairgrounds. As far as I understand, they want to try to keep that sign held tight to the retaining wall to allow for when fair time comes, maneuverability, because I think that drive is still used for bringing animals in and out. As far as the south side, we're tight to the building, and there's been discussion about trying to find a different location for that sign. I know here just recently, the house on the corner just across the street was tore down. I believe Don Warnicki had purchased that ground and has cleared it. And so there was some discussion about maybe talking to Don. If there's no alternative locations, then it really does limit the style of sign that we can try to put there. But I do have printout. One, basically coming away from the printed style, but still using the steel framework that's there, because everything is just, everything's still right there. The steel is still, with the exception of some of the damage, and I'm not sure how that damage occurred on the north sign, that framing, even though it probably could use some, maybe some sandblasting and repainting, otherwise is still really strong. So I've put together a basically kind of a reduced cost-wise, but essentially still trying to use what's there, but instead of trying to do printing, doing panels that are painted and doing what I call cast vinyls or solid color vinyls, so that we can get back to a more of a 10 to 15 year duration. The other idea I've put forward, and if anybody has driven by the city of Allison, just finished installing their new sign this year along Highway 3, would be trying to put something in similar to that would incorporate some faux stone pillars, and still incorporating a type of panel signage, but would have all aluminum framework, more of a dimensional sign that could still be held tight in those tight spots, but would go a lot longer, would be more of like a 20 to 25 year duration. So I do have copies of the printout. I guess the other part is I wanted to see if there were other questions that were coming up about that.
One of the main things is we only own one of the properties those signs are on. So we can't get too creative with pillars and rocks and everything else, because they could say, no, then we're stuck. So we have to, I don't know who these people were that were mentioning all this stuff, but The 6 people up here are the ones that decide that, so.
Well, I guess what I've put together are the designs would fit in the spaces there are. They wouldn't, it would still fit in those spots. About the only difference would be, it would be just a little bit smaller. But that's another issue, is just where these are located. They're, especially the north side is a ways off the road, so you have to have something of some size. We just, yeah, when it comes to cost, one of the things we deal with was we have 2 main highways that come through, so we're doing 4 signs, whereas most communities around us are only doing 1 or 2. So it gets pretty expensive pretty quick. But I do have the printouts, and I'll send those around.
Thank you.
Did you do Rockwell's sign?
Or that's yours.
No. I'm not, I would assume company out of Mason City, but if I don't typically drive by to see any. Sometimes I'll put little things on there as to who did it, but no, I did not do Rockwell's.
For snowfall, you won't be able to see it. If they're gonna plow snow on it, you won't be able to see it.
These are, yeah, practical issues.
Looks nice now. But I don't even think it's angled. I don't think, is it? Anyway. So what would be different this time around with this sign at the top that was different than what was done with the 4 signs that are peeling?
Okay, so those signs, what's there now are printed graphics, digitally printed onto vinyl, then they have a clear laminate. What's presenting the issue is the clear, full clear laminate. So I could digitally print them again, but even the first time around with printing, 7 years later, they fade out. And so the difference would be the background panels would be painted panels, and those are painted with PPG auto paints when I get them. And then the graphics themselves would be what are called cast vinyl, so they're solid colors. So white is white, black is black, so you don't have to worry about them fading. What you lose in going to the solid colors is a little bit of that dimensional look and gradients and stuff. But I think in this case, to get the longevity, at least for the cost-effective route, would be better to just go back to solid colors.
So, and I'll ask a question of Jim. As you might remember, back in the day, we were gonna put service club emblems down here, correct? But then the state of Iowa says we couldn't advertise like that. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, yeah, it does. And, yeah, and it did cost extra, like each service club would have to purchase their own, and I don't know like Kiwanis was necessarily excited about it.
Right, because now all I see is this black space here. That's unused for anything. I don't know what would.
The original intention was to leave room for
Right,
if those are
right.
going to be added back
But
on.
then, like I said, the state came through and said, nope, no advertising like that on there, so we just were left with an empty spot. I don't know if we put our website there, or we leave it blank, or we do something else creative with it.
Pat?
Mr. Lamos?
Yeah, this says 12 to 1,500 plus tax. We don't pay tax, do we?
No.
So disregard. That's a copy and paste one.
Generic
price
deal,
of bids, yeah.
I do have a comment. In graphic arts, the less cluttered, the more effective. So when you start cluttering up a sign, the least effective it becomes. I really like this top one. I like it because it's different from Allison's and this is unique. I really like it.
Jason,
Yes.
You've probably said this, and I might have missed it. You said the top one, the lifespan is about 5 years.
No. So, when we first addressed the signs, originally, they were painted. Grant had actually hand-painted all the city signs. When we redid them, we went to digital printing. We were just getting into the digital print market, and so there was an opportunity to kind of feature. So when we did those, we were being told the whole way through, this is just a temporary measure because there were other ideas being explored for something more, I guess, more elaborate, more fancy. At that time is when there was a lot of discussion around carved stones, because there were a lot of city signs that were doing carved stones. So the printing is where that has a shorter lifespan. Cast vinyls will go a long time. If you hear, just a couple of years ago, I redid, just as an example, here just a couple of years ago, I redid KLMJ's main sign. When that was originally done, the vinyls that were used for that were considered an intermediate, cheaper vinyl, and those, Grant originally did that, I want to say in the late 90s, around 99, 2000. So those had stood up, 20 years. So, and the other advantage, because they're solid color all the way through, they don't fade the way a printing does after time.
Okay, so you're thinking probably minimum 20 years for this top one.
I don't like to put minimums on, just because I can only go by what the manufacturers will tell me. I can say that confidently 10 to 15 years without fading. The biggest issue with solid vinyls, and this is just vinyls in general, is they will, over time, they'll either start to kind of crack or they might fray along the edges.
Okay, now these bottom ones would expect the same lifespan probably?
For the for the art section, it would be a similar concept: painted panels and vinyl graphics. The stone would be faux stone, like you use on a lot of architecture, and most of those are 25 plus on the stonework.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Jason? Any comments from the council? Any,
Oh, I think it's
Input?
gonna be a budget item if
Yeah.
we do decide
Yeah.
to do something.
so we got all the information that we need, and we appreciate that for sure, and we will definitely be looking at this to see what we can do,
Okay.
budget-wise, so.
And turnaround time, the top one would be much, I can get, that would be a much faster lead time. The Allison sign, start to finish was about 2 months.
Okay,
Okay, so,
all right,
all right.
thank you,
Yep,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Next, we have Mary Amsbaugh with the Franklin County Development Association.
Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. I see a couple new faces. My name is Mary Amsbaugh. I'm the director of the Franklin County Development Association. I was on the board for 2 years before I was hired as the executive director. We've accomplished a lot in that time. I've been there about 4.5 years. And I remember when I was interviewed for the job, and it was actually in the job description, as be the face of the Franklin County Development Association. And to me, that meant getting more involved with different groups that have the same goal as what we have. So with that, the North Central Iowa Alliance is a group of counties and cities that we're in NICOG area that we serve. So that is, so those counties, and then the different cities, Charles City, Forest City, and then we got Mitchell County, Worth, Winnebago, Hancock, Forest City, and the North Iowa Corridor are involved with that. So I'm involved with that. I'm actually the chair of the committee, or the board for that. I'm on the NIAC Foundation Executive Board of Directors. This year, coming January, I'll be the chairperson for that. So I like to be involved with NIAC. It helps our students and adult learning as well. So that's really important to me. Since I've been involved with the FCDA, another thing that I have done, when I started, it was a membership. And I guess they just sent out invoices for people to be a part of the membership. And I changed it to investors because I think people are really investing in Franklin County, investing in Hampton. They're not just a member of it. And I continue to grow those investors. Since I started, well, the Franklin REC was just beginning to help fund this position. Since then, Alliant, Mid-American, Dumont Telephone, Iowa Specialty Hospitals, the Latimer Development Group, Hinkle Construction, Corn Belt Power, and most recently, the Ackley Development Commission has started to participate in the FCDA. You might wonder why Ackley Development Commission. The Ackley Development Commission, they are trying to sell lots on their industrial park. And their industrial park is actually Franklin County. Ackley's kind of divided a little bit. So their industrial park needs some attention, needs some more marketing, things like that, and anything that helps in Ackley's going to help Hampton, is going to help Franklin County. So I think I always end my annual report, working together, great things happen. And I think anytime we work together and support each other, it's going to be beneficial for Hampton as well. Some new ventures that we're doing, and this has been a while. We had an option to purchase some property. We're trying to see what we're going to do with that. I'm sure you've heard about the NIAC Career Center. I was the person that found that grant for $3 million that NIAC was able to apply for and get that. So we have a training center. It'll be in Hampton, and it'll serve Hampton, Dumont, West Fork, and Belmont Clemmy schools to start with. And then we hopefully we can do some adult education and trainings and things like that as well. And my office will actually move out to that building. We broke ground for that this last July. The FCDA was we had a part of the I-35 Business Park that's located in Latimer. It's a mile off the interstate. Great access. Again, working together, great things happen. So Corn Belt and REC both gave $500,000 to it. Latimer Development Group gave $150,000 to it, and the FCDA gave $27,000 toward purchasing the land that's for. So we're proud to be a part of that, and with that growing, we'll see more jobs and housing and all those more kids in our schools. Let's see here. This past year, Ron was applying for a housing assessment grant through ISU, and I helped him with that. Let's see, the North Central Iowa Alliance Committee also hosted a housing conference. We were part of that, and it was a little bit different than any other housing stuff we've had. Sometimes when you go to those housing conferences, it's all, well, we did this, and this, and then we did this, but there's no how do you do all that? How do you bring everybody together? Mm-hmm. So we were really focused on, we had developers there and we had cities there, and how we can come together to make this work. The next step of that is going to be, and I've talked to Ron about this, building a report on what properties we have available for housing. And so all the communities will be doing that as well. And what that does is, we might have a contractor, for instance, I'm just throwing numbers out. If Hampton had 5, houses that maybe they could do, and Latimer had 3, and Sheffield had 5, there's, contractors more likely to come in and do that versus just the one-offs that each community would do. So we're looking at doing a housing boot camp coming up, and that'll be for the contractors and the city people as well, and coming together, how can we make this work? Let's see, I also participated in the Main Street program accreditation. I was a part of they met with me as well as part of my job with the FCDA. And then they also, part of my responsibility with the Rotary. I belong to the Hampton Rotary. And coming up next week on Wednesday is the College and Career Fair. I was in charge of getting the businesses lined up to attend, working with the schools and working with NIAC. We've done this. We do it every other year. The first year was for Hampton Dumont School. The second year, West Fork joined in. And now this year, Belmont Clemmy is going to be joining in. So we have 730 students going to come through this College and Career Fair. And about 25 businesses, the same amount of colleges are going to be there. And they can talk to the colleges, they can talk to the businesses, you know, like what career path they can take. Maybe they don't need to go to college, maybe they can do some continuing ed things, that type of thing. So that's something that I'm super excited about. And it's a great way to get a lot of young people thinking about their future and hopefully staying in Franklin County. I also volunteer in the community. I helped with the library celebration. Light Up the Night is what the Franklin REC does, and I've helped with that. And then I also volunteered at the fair this year. So that's FCDA.
Sounds like you've been a little busy.
What's that?
You've been a little busy.
Just a couple of
Yeah.
days, yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for me or concerns?
Ms.
Yeah.
Lemos?
Okay, Barry.
New business at the CB Foundry. How many people work there and where'd they come from?
So someone told me once that I had to get busy and sell some buildings. I don't have any buildings to sell. You know, it's the other companies or businesses that own it. So I'm not really familiar. I've tried to get in there and get some more information, and I haven't been able to get a lot.
Okay. Nice to see someone's there anyway.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Any other questions?
Questions for Mary? Comments?
So this next coming budget is coming up, so I'll be submitting a budget to Ron, and you can go from there. If you have any questions, please call me. I'm at Center 1. You can email me, FCDA Director at Franklin County, Iowa.
When is the anticipation for NIAC Center to be open?
Fall of next year, so at the school year.
So is that going to be nursing and,
They've changed it up a little bit. It was going to be manufacturing, healthcare, and business, and they've decided there was more of a need for business trades. So it's going to be business trades. And the health career is not just a CNA, but the whole career for a nurse health care type of thing.
I appreciate your work on that because we have been left out for years when Charles City was getting something, or Forest City, and we're out here, we need help.
And we do, and it was part of funding, you know. Forest City had the Hanson Foundation, that was huge. Charles City had their big thing, so we were lucky to get this grant for over $3 million. It took a while. The FCDA owned that property, and we had 2 properties that we owned, and we said, either property you're welcome to have. I didn't care where it was, I just wanted it in Franklin County. So it worked out great.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else, Mr. Davis?
I just want to make a comment. When I was interim director at the chamber for 6 months, I had the pleasure of working with Mary, who we officed in Center 1, and Mary, you do a great job.
Oh, thank you. Did everybody? Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
All right,
I
thank you.
echo that, and thank you so
Thanks.
much
Thank
for your
you.
report. That's great. Good
Have a
stuff
cookie.
happening.
Have a cookie.
Don't miss the cookies. All right, next we have Alyssa Van Wert with the Chamber.
Hi, I'm Melissa Van Wert.
Oh.
I am the Executive Director at the Greater Franklin County Chamber of Commerce on Main Street, Hampton. And this is my helper scout. You say hi.
All right.
I just came tonight to request for street closures for Halloween Howl, you know, to keep our kids safe while they're trick-or-treating downtown. It's only a couple. Do you guys have copies of the streets I'm asking for?
I don't know.
No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
Do you want to pass this around?
We'll just pass it around real quick.
Sure.
Come on, Scout, you can do it.
And it would I would request from probably like 2 to 5. Howling Howl is from 3 to 5, but the trunk or treat people, we've asked them to come at 2:30 to set up, so.
Is it the same as last year, basically?
Yes, it's the same route as last
North-
year. I don't know if I'd say
Like
route, I
north
guess.
of the courthouse?
Yep.
I think it went really well last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to have those closures, just because then the kids don't have to think twice about crossing, and parents, if a kid runs out in front, they can feel safe about it at least,
Right.
so.
Because we have at least, like, with the haunted theater, we have maybe up to 500 people go through that.
Yes. Yeah.
In that couple hours, so you have a lot of people walking around downtown, so I think it's a good idea to have the streets closed, that you have closed.
I don't think we've had any issues of it in the past, if this is the same look closures, and I think it just makes really, really good sense.
I think last year
Yep.
was the first year that we closed off the streets, and it was great. It was
Yeah.
just wonderful not having all those cars driving through all the kids.
Yeah, it's, very helpful.
So while we're finishing up the graphics there, I would just say, to answer the council, does anybody have any issues with that at all? I don't think there are any, and I think it's a safety issue, that we can just close that off for the kids, and I think it's a great thing for our town, so I would say we should put that on our agenda for a Thursday and get that approved for you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Scout. All right. Moving on. Discuss request for chickens and review the livestock ordinance. I made some notes. I've really looked through this quite a bit. I'm just going to go ahead and give you my take on this, and then we'll open up for the council to discuss it further and see where we need to go. First thing I would say I've had several people stop and ask me what we're doing with chickens in Hampton. I have not had one positive comment on having chickens in our city. Our residents, what I'm hearing is that they're telling me that we do not need or want chickens in our community. Ron and I have discussed this pretty much in agreement with the things that would the chickens in town would increase noise complaints, and I know that's up for debate. Issues of odor and waste management, a lot more neighborhood conflicts and strained relationships. We've had them in the past. We really don't want to go back to that if we can help it. Increased blight situations for some of the properties, and that this may affect the value of your own property. Something to think about. Our job as city council is to make decisions based on what's best for our community. I don't see that any of these things fit into the category of what is best for Hampton, in my opinion. Just because the ordinance states except for by written consent of city council, doesn't mean that we will or have to approve it. This simply states that there may be situations where they may apply approval. I don't think this is one of those situations, in my opinion, again. So my recommendation is to deny the 3 requests that have been submitted under the current ordinance. I also feel strongly enough about this that down the road, we should amend our current ordinance to remove the statement that says, except by written consent of the council. And that's what I think about it. So I want to open it up to the council. Anybody of you, whoever wants to start?
Steve, you and I usually agree 100%. And when we were first presented with this, my first reaction was, oh, hell no. But I did homework. I did a lot of reading. Urban chickens is a thing, and people love their chickens. It is something that's, if we don't take care of it now, it's going to come up again, and it's going to come up again. Jean, Faye, and Jennifer Grokey and I got together last Monday, and we were able to talk about it and talk it through. I looked at all the city ordinances that were considerably close to Hampton's size. I ran across Mount Vernon's. If anybody's been to Mount Vernon, it's a wonderful, eclectic, really cool little town. They allow chickens, but their chicken ordinance is quite lengthy. And I think we'll address a lot of issues with this if somebody comes in and says, I want chickens, sign me up. You hand them this and said, these are all the guidelines you have to meet first. And then you have to have an inspection, and then we'll consider granting you registration for your chickens. I think this alone would turn a lot of people off, turn a lot of people away. And also having this in the books would make it much easier for our code enforcement officers to, chickens are reported at a home, they go check it out. Oh, hell no, you don't even meet the requirements. Chickens have got to go. I think it's a thing coming. I think it's something that we need to work on and compromise on, but be very stringent with our regulations. If you've read through them, chickens are only allowed in the backyard. They have to have so much space for them and everything. So that's going to limit a lot of in-town properties. They just are not going to have the space on their properties. I also went to the Iowa League of Cities and read what they had to say about chickens. And this was last in, I think, 21, that the last thing was that Iowa League of Cities had published. And they again said, urban chickens, it's a thing, it's a coming, it's something that every town is dealing with. They recommend 4 to 6 chickens to prevent overcrowding and nuisance complaints. They have to be in the backyards only. They recommend taking it case by case, and again, to view, people have to come to you with a plan. This is my plan. And part of that plan is they have visited with their neighbors, and their neighbors have agreed or disagreed to having the chickens. So we really put it on the citizens. Do your work first, and then we'll consider this. You can't just go out and buy chickens and let them run around your yard. Iowa League of Cities says absolutely no free range, and they have recommendations for how far the chicken coop and runs should be from a house and property lines. No commercial selling. In fact, I looked that up, because one lady had 20 chickens. Said, is she selling those chickens? Is that legal? And it is legal. She can sell them in a farmer's market or to friends and neighbors. She just can't sell them commercially. Like, she cannot go to the grocery store and sell them or go to a restaurant and sell them. She needs a license for that. And the slaughtering in town or in the presence or in the view of your neighbors is absolutely prohibited. You can't slaughter your chickens. So I don't know. I think it's something we need to continue to work through and discuss. I just don't think it's going to be a yes or no answer.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I guess from what I've learned from citizens that I've talked to, I've had 3 no's and 2 yeses. And then I went through all the information about different cities. One of the things I liked was you had to have a 3-year permit, $40 fee, neighbor approval, and if you have chickens without those stipulations, it's a $250 fine, first offense, 500 second offense, and $750 third offense. I mean, that, something like that would deter people from just going out and getting them. But it's still the process we have to work through.
Yep. Thank you.
Mayor.
Oh, Mr. Bill?
Well, I'm like Jerry, and I went through a lot of the city ordinances across the state, and the cities approximately the same size of Hampton amounted to about 20. Those are the 20 that I looked at. And they are all over the map, and Jerry's absolutely correct. From Mount Vernon has definite yes, Evansdale has definite yes, and Forest City, a definite yes. And I could go through in Humboldt and Huxley and a few, and Sheraton definitely knows. So it's all over the map. Some of them had 10-acre restrictions. You had to have at least 10 acres. And some of them, their chicken coop had to be at least a mile from a residential property in an R1 zoned community. I could pick out anything. Some of them were 10 feet from residences, some were 50 feet. And I guess the biggest question that I have is, how much workload are we throwing on our nuisance officers by opening this up? I had no idea that we had a chicken problem in Hampton until this came up. And talking to Mark and talking to Doug about all of the chickens are already chasing out of our community and out of our apartments and out of our basements, I'm just wondering if there's even going to be a stopping point of where we're going to draw the line. And I know Jerry had all of the stipulations from Shenandoah, and I did look at those, and those were great restrictions. But I'm just wondering if it's right for Hampton. I think we're faced with two issues, and they've been combined into one because the property owners didn't approach the council prior to purchasing and setting up their chicken operation. And then after such a long period of time, and now we're addressed not only with that, but we're also going to address how are we going to take a look at our ordinance right now. Quite frankly, let's set our three people that are petitioning us aside for a moment. I think we should move with absolutely no chickens in the city of Hampton. I think if we, not only are we changing the ordinance if we don't, but if we do change it to allow chickens, we're going to have to go back in and change our R1 residential, single-family residential district, because it states, it currently states, no raising or pasturing of livestock, poultry, or other commercial domestic animals or birds in any residential R1 district, which I'm thinking that we're talking about R1 districts at this point. And I'm looking at some of these cities that allow it, and I'm not going to say a name because I don't want people to say, well, you hate this particular city, but when I go through this particular city, that one of the ordinances I've read, and they allow it in the people's backyard, and it's within 10 feet of, it has to be in their backyard, but it's 10 feet from their building. And I'm thinking, that might be one of the reasons that this particular city appears to me the way it does when I drive through it, because they're opening up a can of worms, I think, by allowing them to do this. Now, I haven't visited the properties themselves, but I've driven past them several times. I don't know if you've seen me, just to kind of look at the situation. And quite frankly, it's an ideal setup from my perspective for chickens. And I'm thinking, okay, how can I sit here and say, let's don't have chickens in Hampton, but these particular owners, I'm thinking, if we were going to allow chickens in Hampton, for these particular people that have addressed the council and where they are living currently, and I certainly would not ever go along with free range, but if we had stipulations and we allowed them to keep these chickens for the life of their chickens, and then when they're gone, and that shuts the door on the case. I think we need to change our ordinance to no chickens, and possibly have a gentleman's agreement with these three petitioners to say, we'll allow you your 6 chickens or your 9 chickens or your 15 chickens, whatever you have, but that's it. You're not going to replace them, you're not going to do anything. When they're gone, they're gone. And the agreement's over, and we're out of the chicken business in Hampton. And if we're going to have these stipulations like Mount Vernon, they have to be inspected. I mean, that's quite a list, and they have to be inspected. And I think if they're going to do that and they are inspected, I think we need to charge those people the fee for the time it takes to send our nuisance officers out there. Because it takes a great deal of time, and I certainly don't see where we have it. We have some things in Hampton that need to be addressed, and they can't be addressed if they're out chasing chickens. So I guess that's where I'm at. I think we could maybe do something with the 3 that have approached us, but I think we need to shut that door. So.
All right, thank you.
The people who've contacted me said, well, I'm next door to me, but they don't have a problem with where they're at now. They think that the 3 places that have petitioned us are perfect, and I happen to go along with that. I happen to go along with Barry on what he said, and you get into somebody's wallet for $250, they're going to be deterred from chickens, I hope, anyway, but I don't mind certainly what Bill has said either, is to have an agreement. Once these chickens are gone, then we're gone. But, petitioning the council is kind of a basic civil right. It's kind of a First Amendment thing where you can do that with the government and petition the government, and that's kind of a right. And so, whether we approve it or not, that's our right. So I would still leave that in about that part of it, but like I said, the people I talk to, absolutely not if it's next door to them, but the 3 that have submitted the request, they didn't really have a problem with. That's about all I got.
Kristen?
I'd be interested to see some of the towns closer to our size if they do have their own, like, animal control. Because I don't know that it would be fair to put that all on Doug or the police department. I know Evansdale does have their own animal control. That's what I was told anyway. I think that would be, like I said, I don't think it would be fair to them to put it on their already full plate to go and inspect people's homes for all the rules for chickens. But I do agree with Jerry. I think it's going to be something that keeps coming up, and it's something that's very popular now, the urban chickens. And I do like the having to get written approval from your neighbors or Latimer. I looked up Latimer. They require written approval forms from all residents within 200 feet of the tract of land included in the application. I do think that would deter a lot of people. 'Cause I know a lot of people don't want to go and talk to their neighbors. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's something that's going to keep coming up.
I guess I would just say the people I've talked to, it's been about 50-50, and I'm hearing everything that we've said, and I really don't have anything more to add that's any different than what's been said.
All right, thank you. All right, I appreciate everybody's input. I just made a couple notes while you guys were listening, or talking, because I try to listen. You're talking about urban chickens are the way of the future, but who opposes the urban chickens more? The chicken industry. And we got 2 facilities right here in Franklin County. So, just something to think about as well. And I like, if we go that right, one ordinance, not everybody gets their own different kind of ordinance for their property, and we've got to, here's what you gotta buy, and that's good. So, I don't know how we're gonna rein in these free range. We've already got them at Dollar Fresh. People are already talking about that. So, just something to think about. I think we've got all we can do this week for Thursday night, for the council meeting, we can approve you to have chickens, or we can approve you to not have chickens. Now, the ordinance, that's something that we're gonna have to put together. You know, it's not gonna happen over by Thursday, trust me. So it's gonna go under, if we, you know, if we say, okay, yeah, you three guys can have your chickens, they're pretty much, they're on their own until we get an ordinance in place, so something to think about as well. All right. So, that's, you got anything, Ron?
No.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess I just want to say thank you all for taking time to talk about chickens. And Jim, I love your chicken statue. I have some in my house. I love the decor. Love it. So originally when this all came up, yeah, I guess when we got the letter of the way, and I've already said this, how the ordinance was originally written is with an exception. And honestly, that's all I was asking was for an exception for my property. Like I've said before, I'm stating the fact we have 2.5 acres. You guys have had comments from people as well, but I have also, okay? I've had a lot of people saying this is ridiculous. Why are they not approving you three guys, to have chickens, okay? I'm not coming here to say I want to change the ordinance. I realize that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. But we are citizens of this community, and I want to be heard. And sometimes I feel like when I come here, Steve, I'm not being heard, okay? I feel like you came into this 100% with your answer, and you have not heard everybody from the council or these citizens. And that's very frustrating. And I just want to say that that's hard as a citizen of this community to do this, okay? And I encourage you to be a little bit more open when people come here to these meetings to ask for things. That's my encouragement to you as mayor, okay?
All right.
Another thing is when Jerry and I met, the ordinance that we had kind of talked about, it is so strict. If I did not have chickens already, I would look at that and be like, there's no way, all right? Because it is very, very strict. And as far as our staff that would have to come and do that inspection, I'm sorry, but I pay taxes, okay? That's part of their job. And I'm sorry that it adds more work to their workload. But again, if anybody is going to want chickens in this community and look at that ordinance, they're going to say there's no way. You might have 5, maybe, I don't know. I just thrown out a number. But there's not going to be very many people that do that. And I'm sorry, guys, if it would take more work on their part. Competing with the chicken industry, it's not even a fair statement. I'm sorry. So I guess I'm not going to take forever with this. I guess with the vote, you're saying there's going to be a vote on Thursday night, a yes or a no, or how's this going to happen? Is that what you're saying, Mayor?
Right. Either where we're at right now, we can approve you to have your chickens, keep your chickens, or we can not approve it, saying we need to get rid of your chickens.
So the way the ordinance is currently written, making an exception, like what Bill and some of these other guys are saying, is that going to be into consideration, or it's yes or no?
Not on Thursday night. It's yes or no. We've got to build the ordinance to go with that. So, I mean, it's something that's going to happen pretty quickly, but yeah, it's not.
Okay, I'm still not getting a clear, a yes or no, as in we're going to move forward and continue this discussion, or?
You can have your chickens. We've got to put together the ordinance.
Okay.
Or, nope, we don't want chickens. I don't care who you are.
Okay.
I mean, that sounds rough, but that's kind of what it is. Yes or no? And we have to build the ordinance.
So as I understand it, we're going to take each individual request and vote yes or no on each individual request?
Yeah, but they're yeah.
Yeah.
We can
Okay,
do
so each
one.
person, we're not going to lump all three and say yes or no, because that's not fair.
Right.
You've each submitted your request with your plan, and that's what we're going to vote on.
Yeah, so we have to vote on each one, yes.
Okay. And another thing, as far as our chickens at Dollar Fresh, yeah, that has happened. Since we've been going through this, we have had our chickens cooped up. One night they got out because I went in to pet one and they got out. And it was like 5:30 at night. If you would have drove by at that time, you would have seen me run around like a mad person trying to get my chickens back in. So my chickens are cooped, and they're still happy. I'm still happy. So I just want you to know they are not free ranging right now. My chickens are cooped up, and they're still laying eggs, and I'm still eating great eggs in the morning. So, I apologize for this time with the chickens. I know it takes time. I guess that's what you guys sign up for by doing this. So,
Exactly.
thank you all for your time.
Yep.
Thank you,
Thank
Jen.
you. Pardon me?
All right, you guys. So, first of all, I would like to echo Jennifer's sentiments in terms of taking the time for this very long and well thought out discussion about the chickens. I too have also been doing research looking into towns that, I haven't been looking so much in terms of towns that resemble the size of Hampton, but I was looking at towns that are neighbor to us. And so, I found the Latimer ordinance, and yeah, it is a pretty extensive ordinance. I printed it out in case anyone here on the council didn't have a chance to see it or hasn't seen it before. But I mean, it is very well thought. It is detailed and methodical in terms of having a city ordinance for chickens. The city of Sheffield has a policy similar to Hampton, which is no livestock without, except for special written consent. Mason City is pretty straightforward. It doesn't have some long, drawn-out list of rules. All it says is that where permitted, rabbits and poultry should be kept within enclosures set 10 feet from any lot line. They're allowed to have up to 25 rabbits, chickens, or other poultry, except where the occupant shall be in possession of at least 2 acres of ground. But city ordinance in Mason City says you can have chickens. Didn't see anything, in Coulter or Dow's. There wasn't anything posted online for that. But, it doesn't seem like, a lot of the towns, our neighbors, particularly have a huge issue. Now, if anyone has flexed that particular right in Sheffield, I have no idea. I actually tried calling Sheffield City Hall this afternoon, and I didn't get through to anybody. But in terms of the list of concerns that you have, Steve, in terms of the chickens, noise pollution.
Yeah.
My neighbors have had chickens for 4 years.
Yeah.
I sleep just fine at night. I sleep just fine during the day. Like if I had to take a nap or something.
Yeah.
I don't hear a bunch of hens. They're not loud at all. And, we're not asking for roosters. That's not what we're fighting for. We just want our hens. But I can attest that as their closest neighbor, I don't hear those chickens at all. I don't hear Mary's chickens across the road on 65, and I can't fathom that you guys hear my chickens. I can't fathom anybody in the city of Hampton hears my chickens. So if it was a noise complaint issue, especially since there's been chickens with the Grokkies for the past 4 years, I think that would have been an issue that would have been brought to the city council's attention. The same thing with the smell. First of all, you cannot argue with me that having a couple of backyard chickens is going to compete anywhere close on a damp, warm summer evening when it's a nice breeze coming through and those pig farms right outside of town starts blowing in and perfumes the air here in town. You cannot tell me that a couple of chickens are going to outperform all the hog buildings around here or the cattle. I get it all right on the south side of town. And if it was a tremendous issue, I feel like, again, this would have been an issue that would have been brought up to the city council. Dollar Fresh maybe would have complained about having a smell. Dawn would have complained about my smell. I was just chit-chatting with Dawn Warnicki yesterday in my driveway, and we were laughing about all this chicken business and haven't, no skin off his nose that I have chickens pecking around in his yard. He's glad because it eats mosquitoes and other pests in the grass. Another issue that you brought up was the blight properties. I don't know if you've noticed this, Steve, but right across the street from me on 65 is that god-awful eyesore of an industrial building that has the Welcome of Hampton sign right in front of it. You want to talk about a bad foot forward for the city of Hampton? I would recommend starting right there. That is, I think,
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to reiterate that we've gone through all this stuff.
No, I know that, but
So we don't really want to go through every little piece again because we've done it. That's why we had the council come together.
Yeah,
today
but
to kind of put a.
But my point of addressing all of this is that I feel like, again, what Jennifer is echoing is that it's being, check this off, check this off, check this off, check this off. But you're not seeing the counter argument to all of those things. You're not hearing us.
Yeah.
We're not asking for the city of Hampton. I don't see our third neighbor here duking it out with Jennifer and I. You don't want to grant her chickens? Don't grant her chickens. She's not here fighting for her chickens, by all means. I am fighting for myself.
Okay.
That is what this ordinance is for. It is for a special case-by-case situation. We're not asking for the whole city. It seems, from what we've heard last meeting, that chickens in the city of Hampton have been a problem far before we were even addressing this. You can't lay that on our doorstep, that you have people hoarding chickens in their basement. That is not something that you can lay at the foot of myself and Jennifer and Mary, because we are here petitioning to have chickens kept in a healthy, respectable, safe manner that keeps everybody happy. Okay?
I understand it.
And in terms of my final thought, wanting to get rid of that city ordinance because, it grants special permission for people to come and flex their right to request this, and because you deem it a nuisance, uncomfortable, time wasting perhaps, I'm not really sure what, but to take that option away from the rest of the city residents because it's going to make your work a little bit harder, I feel is appalling. That's appalling, because that would be no different than our political constituents in power altering the fundamental constitution because they all of a sudden don't like freedom of speech. That's kind of a tough one. I don't really like how that makes me look. I think we're going to get rid of it. I think that would be a very big mistake, and you will not be mayor forever.
You're right. And I just want one more thing. We're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
But we just sent out, how many letters for chickens in town?
Okay.
It's not just you three that we're looking at,
No,
There
and I
are
am.
other, over 10, so it's not something that's just confined to the bottom, south end of Hampton. It's all over, and we're looking at it, everything. How much stuff do you want me to read?
No.
I've really looked at it, so I've got my belief on it. So do you.
And that's
So
fine.
does everybody else. So that's why we got to come to a conclusion.
But again, what I would press is it is a case-by-case scenario. Those 10 people in town that have chickens have nothing to do with me having chickens. Has me having chickens has nothing to do with Jennifer having chickens, with Mary having chickens, with them having chickens. It is a case-by-case scenario. And I guarantee you that if those people put together a proposition like the three of us did and presented it to the city council, you could vote on it by a case-by-case scenario. I understand that it is going to make things uncomfortable for the city council because people are going to use this opportunity to try to take advantage and abuse having chickens in their yard. But so is every new fad that catches the attention of somebody. And then it fades away. And then you're probably going to be stuck dealing with the same 20 people who keep putting chickens in their basement while the rest of us live our own private little lives on the edge of town.
Right.
So, you know, I know what you believe. That's a very unfortunate belief, but that's your belief.
Yep.
Hold to it. And, you know, I just really hope that at the end of the day, we can all come to a compromise, that we can move forward, because I think that this has gotten way bigger than I thought that it would ever would. And I hope that when you guys get ready to vote on this case or this ordinance or this situation, that you think about it as a case by case, all right? Not for everyone in the city of Hampton, I don't care if someone on the far north side of town doesn't want chickens next to them. That's fine. They don't need to. I don't live next to them. I live next to nobody. You know, and I have the unfortunate circumstances of the boundary of the city of Hampton having been redrawn around my property, I think when the water thing got put in. And all of us on that gravel road, on that county road, we are all city, all of us. And you've got, and you can't lump us in together. We're not the same. So that is why I ask, again, respectfully, that the city council thinks about this as a case-by-case scenario. And obviously, we would be more than willing to cooperate and work with the city council if we were able to come to some sort of compromise for our chickens. All right, whatever that may be, we'll be open to that discussion. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dunn.
I would just add, I had a conversation with Christine Stone about going beyond the yes or no and to add restrictions at this point. But for these three requests, the current code does not specify specific other regulations, such as limits to numbers and hens and land size and things like that. So if the council wants those types of restrictions, she encourages the council to do one of two things: to amend the ordinance or at least adopt a chicken policy by resolution. Either way, it should be uniform. But she recommends doing it by ordinance. If you do chicken regulations by a policy by resolution and then take some time to study as to what you want to do, the best practice would be to include the regs in an amendment to the ordinance, ultimately. I asked if the council could give these three requests consent, but include a time limit, for instance, say 1 year, until you had time to consider amending the ordinance, put certain restrictions in it, and she said you could do that. Let's see, if the council gives consent to the three with no restrictions, I asked a hypothetical, that then later on you amend the ordinance with and included regulations. Could the owners then claim they're grandfathered in under the old ordinance? And she said, well, people can claim anything they want, but cities change their regulations frequently all the time. So she doesn't believe that that would stand up, but it's best to make any consent temporary until the code, if you intend to amend things, make the consent temporary until the code is amended. You could also put a cap on the number of consents that would be allowed, say 3 or 5, until you amend the ordinance, so it doesn't get out of hand. One thing she mentioned about chickens at large, our code currently allows the law enforcement to give a citation under 55.14 that would cover chickens at large when they leave their premises. That would be charged as a misdemeanor. So anyway, you say yes or no. If you say yes with restriction, it needs to be documented by resolution at minimum or by ordinance, which is recommended.
All right.
Just need to know what the consensus is.
Go ahead.
Email a copy
Yeah,
of that?
yeah.
Please, thank you.
Mhm.
Yep. So we put it on, so we can put it on our agenda for Thursday evening to approve, case by case. We've got 3 people here. To approve whether you can still have chickens, or if we deem that nobody in Hampton has chickens. We'll put that in, and I think we should put I like the idea of a time limit. Number one, it'll push us, if we need to do that, to come up with an ordinance and get it that's going to work for everybody. And we'll take a look at it, and then hopefully sometime in that first year or whatever we put on there, we get an ordinance and it goes into effect, and everybody's one big fat happy family. But let's get it on the ballot. Let's get it on the agenda. Let's vote on it, see where everybody stands, and we'll go from there. Anybody else? Okay. With that, I will adjourn the workshop. Thank you.
Might have to take one more.
We haven't had dinner yet, or?